my health, for my club, my community, my country, and my world. What?
This is first call for our Class 1 senior showmanship. Entering the ring now is our Class 1 senior showmanship. We have Sydney Engelman of Jansen and Taylin Lang of Beatrice.
Well, a great way to start off senior showmanship here for the Gage County Fair this morning with these two individuals, with these Holstein heifers. I'm going to start off with the young lady leading the black heifer here as my first place individual. Just overall, from the first moment she walked into the ring, just showing the overall presence of the heifer, you know, exhibiting it to the best of her ability, and also being able to come to a walking setup for a stop when I stopped them. Was just a little bit more responsive on the halter and showing that heifer off to the best of her ability. Taking nothing away from the second place individual here, just wasn't quite as responsive when setting up and overall showing off the heifer to the best of their ability. I will say for a senior division, I did ask them a few basic information things. I would like them to be both a little bit better on the information and the questions that I asked them, but taking nothing away from the two senior showmen, I would like to see both of them back here for the overall showmanship once we get done with the intermediate and juniors. Give those two a round of applause.
Receiving Grand Champion Senior Showman was Sydney Engelman, and receiving Reserve Grand Champion Senior Showman was Talon Lang. Our belt buckle rewards are sponsored by the Harlan and Rochelle J. Rickers Memorial. Entering the ring now is our Class 2 Intermediate Showmanship. We have Piper Hemphill of Firth, Trendon Lang of Beatrice, Miles Esau of Beatrice, and Graham Shart of Beatrice. Everyone receiving a purple ribbon will come back for overall showmanship.
Well, an excellent round of intermediate showmanship here at the Gage County Fair this morning. I'm going to start off with a young man with the Holstein heifer here as my first place purple ribbon. Just right away entering the ring, just overall attentiveness, and he just shot out to me right away like he is going to show me the best look of this heifer today. I did have him pull in the line the first time, and the reason that I did that, I wanted to get the young lady with her shorthorn to lead the ring. I felt that when that heifer was in the front of the pack, she was leading a heck of a lot nicer than being fourth around out in the circle. So taking nothing away from the young lady there in second place, it was really a toss-up between both of these two. These two are going to be very competitive down the road here at the Gage County Fair. Both have a lot of future potential ahead of them. I would take both of them to show any of my animals down the road any day. Taking nothing away from the young man in third place, just needed a little bit more basic knowledge of the questions that I asked him. I asked him how old their heifer was, just asked him where the withers were. I got a few different answers on that. That was pretty interesting, but taking nothing away from the young man here in fourth, just the heifer wasn't cooperating quite as well today. Just one of those things, but was very impressed with all four of these intermediate individuals, and give them all a round of applause for intermediate showmanship.
Receiving Grand Champion Intermediate Showman was Miles Esau. Receiving Reserve Grand Champion Intermediate Showman was Piper Hemphill. Receiving Blues are Trendon Lang and Graham Shart. Entering the ring now is our Class 3 Junior Showmanship. We have Bristol Sloop Lang from Beatrice, Tough Lang of Beatrice, Maxon Esau of Beatrice, Beckham Hemphill of Firth, and Sloan Esau of Beatrice. Our judge this morning is Trevor Clipp. Trevor is from Hanover, Kansas, just south of the state line. His family milks 80 head along with a diversified farm operation. He's been involved actively on the Washington County Fair Board the last 8 years, so he appreciates all it takes to put on a county fair. He's been involved in showing dairy cattle since he was 6 years old, showing as a Clover Bud. He's exhibited at numerous shows from the county to the national levels, and he looks forward to working with the youth of Gage County today.
an excellent group of intermediate showmen here this morning. I'm going to start off with a young man with the Jersey heifer. It was one of these things that it was a toss-up between my top two. You know, they could go back and forth all the time. With both of them having young Jersey heifers, they can be cantankerous at times, but really what separated me for selecting a young man as first place was when I had him out on the walk, out on the edge of the ring this last time. He was quicker at changing the feet when he had set up for me, and was just a tick more attentive throughout the whole time of being in this ring, taking nothing from the second place individual here. Just didn't quite change the setup on the feet on this heifer as much as I'd liked. The young man with the third place individual here in showmanship was very attentive, just didn't quite set up and change the feet on this heifer as much as I would like. There was some times where I caught him kind of dazing off, you know, wasn't quite looking when I was on the opposite end of the ring, but I've been there and done that. All of these young individuals will learn. It's all in time, you know, it's just a junior showmanship, so starting out, a lot of potential for these young individuals here. With these last two in the class, you know, all in time, they will get to be more competitive, but we have a lot of good future here for dairy cattle showmen here in Gage County. Go ahead, give all these juniors a round of applause.
Receiving purple and Grand Champion Junior Showman is Maxon Esau. Receiving blue and Reserve Grand Champion Junior Showman was Sloan Esau. Receiving blues in the rest of the class was Tough Lang, Beckham Hemphill, and Bristol Sloop Lang. This is first call for Pee Wee showmanship if you want to go gather on the entrance of the ring. Entering the ring now is for your overall champion showman. We have Sydney from our senior showmanship class. We have Cindy Engelman of Jansen and Talon Lang of Beatrice. From our class 2 of our intermediate showmanship, we have Piper Hemphill of Firth and Miles Esau of Beatrice. And from our class 3 of junior showmanship, we have Maxon Esau of Beatrice.
Well, an excellent group of overall showmen here representing each age division of their showmanship classes. Once again, you know, when they come into this ring for overall showmanship, it doesn't matter, you know, age, senior, intermediate, junior. It's a brand new showmanship competition, regardless of how I had placed them earlier on in their respective age groups. Growing up, I guess, showmanship was very important to me. It was one of the things to where, you know, starting off as a young age, we didn't quite have the best quality of cattle out there. So my dad had always said, until you show me that you can show an excellent animal, until you can show that animal to the best of its ability, then we'll start getting more serious about this. So as the showmanship winnings started coming, we got better cattle all across the board, and it just was a rolling effect from there. So that's why I'm starting with the young lady here in first place for overall showman. Just from overall, she just walks in and presents that heifer to the best of its ability. That's what showmanship is about, showing your animal to the best of its ability to make it look its best. Taking nothing away from the young man here in second, he's got a very bright future ahead of him. The heifer just wasn't quite in tip-top shape for me today as far as following wise, you know, leading off from the start right away. Just wasn't quite snappy enough and attentive as the young lady here in first. Taking nothing away from the young man here in third. That's why I went back and forth between these two individuals here when I had them out on the outside of the ring. Mainly just what it come down to was, like I said, overall showing that animal to the best of its ability. And then for my fourth place, this young lady showing this white heifer here, just overall wasn't quite as competitive as giving me her best look for today for that for showing off their heifer, but very excellent group of showmanship here in Gage County, and a great way to start off the dairy show here this morning. Go ahead and give all of these exhibitors a round of applause.
Receiving Grand Champion Showman is Cindy Engelman. Receiving Reserve Overall Champion Showman is Miles Esau. Third Overall Showman was Maxon Esau, and fourth Overall Showman was Talon Lang. Our Overall Champion Showman Award is sponsored by Security First Bank, who has been the sponsor of this award for over 75 years. Entering the ring now is our Pee Wee showers. This is our non-competitive division. Every individual showing is going to be receiving a bag that is sponsored by the Gage County Ag Society as well as Farm Credit Services of America.
There you go. Go ahead and give a round of applause to all these Pee Wee showmen that we have out here. I really enjoy seeing all of these young showmen, these young individuals out here, you know, whether they're directly involved with a dairy project or not, you know, a cousin, sister, brother, just a younger sibling. But it truly shows that Gage County has a lot of future potential ahead of them with these young showmen, you know, whether some of them stick it out or not. I asked if they would come back to do this again next year. I got a stern no from a couple, but there was quite a few that showed optimism for coming back and doing it next year because they enjoy it. And as they grow up, like I said, Gage County has a lot of future potential ahead of it. Once again, give a good round of applause to all these Pee Wee showmen.
Thank you again to the Gage County Ag Society and Farm Credit Services of America for sponsoring our bags for these young individuals. Entering the ring now is our Class 1 Winter Jersey Heifer Calf. It is Salone Esau of Beatrice. First call for Class 2 Fall Jersey Heifer Calves.
Well, a really nice single entry Jersey heifer calf to start our Jersey show for the heifer division this morning. Just really love the overall build and quality of this heifer. This young lady's going to get a purple ribbon first place with this one. Really look forward to having her come back to show as an overall Jersey against the rest of the jerseys that we have today. But a great way to start off the Jersey class. Thank you.
Receiving purple is Salone Esau of Beatrice. Entering the ring now is our Class 2 Fall Jersey Heifer Calves. We have Maxon Esau of Beatrice and Trendon Lang of Beatrice.
Well, to place these two Jersey heifers here today, I'm going to start off with this first place Jersey heifer. Just overall more angularity, more dairy across. I really like the way that her rear end is put together compared to my second place animal here. Just kind of falls apart in the feet and leg department. Just not quite liking how the hips to the pins ratio is on this second place heifer to this first place. Going down the road, you know, making prominent cows. So that's why I placed these two the way I placed them here today.
Receiving purple is Maxon Esau of Beatrice, and receiving a blue is Trendon Lang of Beatrice. Now in the ring is going to be our champion Jersey heifer, which is Salone Esau of Beatrice and Maxon Esau of Beatrice.
For my champion Jersey heifer calf today, I'm going to go with the older age heifer, just showing more of the true popular style of what we want to see in a Jersey heifer. You guys are going to get bored of the term that I used today in this heifer show of being able to see these heifers develop and go down the road and make good cows. The cows are truly what we're after. You know, what are these heifers going to make as a cow in the future? This one just exhibits more overall length, overall dairy, just as cleaner, more longer in her rib structure than my reserve heifer. Taking nothing away from this reserve heifer, she's going to look a lot different here in 6 months going down the road. She will develop into just a more Jersey-like heifer, but for today I'm going to go with the young man here for the champion Jersey heifer, and really great Jersey show to start off the breed classes here this morning. Give them a round of applause.
Our champion Jersey heifer goes to Maxon Esau of Beatrice, and our reserve champion Jersey heifer goes to Sloan Esau of Beatrice. Entering the ring now is Class 3, our spring Holstein heifer calves. We've got Beckham Hemphill of Firth and Salone Esau of Beatrice. This is the first call for our Class 4 winter Holstein heifer calves. First call for our Class 4 winter Holstein heifer calves.
For this first class of Holstein calves here today, I'm going to start off with the black heifer here in first. Just shows more dairy angularity, just straighter throughout the top, and just like that rib structure of what it's going to prove down the future. Taking nothing away from this second place calf, this red and white Holstein, just showing a little bit too fresh for me today. Just might help if she was clipped off a little cleaner, but would like to maybe change her up in her feet and legs just a little bit. But a great dual entry class here to start off the Holstein calf show. Give them a round of applause.
Receiving purple was Beckham Hemphill of Firth, and receiving in blue was Salone Esau of Beatrice. Entering the ring now is our Class 4 Winter Holstein heifer calves. In the ring is Talon Lang of Beatrice, Miles Esau of Beatrice, and Graham Shart of Beatrice. This is our first call for Class 5 fall Holstein heifer calves. Again, this is our first call for our Class 5 fall Holstein heifer calves.
Well, for the 3 heifers in this December calf class, it's just like every December calf class. You go, state fair, national shows, everything. The December calves, everybody has them. They're full. They're just right at that beautiful stage of what I like to look at in a heifer that really sets it apart from saying, is this one going to make the cut for going down the road, or what is the next one? I'm going to start off with this first place heifer here. Just overall, the way that she leads throughout the ring, just showing off that rib structure is the biggest thing with these 2 heifers. I could go back and forth with both of them. That's what took me a while to separate them. They're going to go back and forth this fall, here at State Fair. They're going to close neck and neck, but I just overall, the way that it blends her rib structure along through her front end, just straighter through the head and neck, taking nothing away from the second place calf. Like I said, she might walk on a better set of feet and legs, but that all depends if she leads a little bit better for the young man. Taking nothing away from the young lady here with third with the white heifer. Just doesn't quite have enough size and scale to compete with the rest of the class today. So that's why I placed these classes, or this class of December calves. Give them a round of applause.
Receiving purples was Miles Esau of Beatrice. Receiving blues were Graham Shart of Beatrice and Talon Lang of Beatrice. Entering the ring now is our Class 5 Fall Holstein Heifer Calves. We have Miles Esau of Beatrice and Maxon Esau of Beatrice. Getting ready should be our Class 6 Summer Yearling Holstein Heifers.
Well, for these two Holstein heifers here today, I'm going to go off with the first place calf here to lead. Just overall, the way that it's all put together, she's showing me that full openness of body, especially in this age of heifers, you know, just getting more developed, and as they get older, just showing more capacity for, once again, that future of what the cow looks like. This first place heifer, when she's out on the walk, she just straighter across the top. I like the rear end, the rump on it, taking nothing away from the second place individual. Just doesn't quite, tapers off a little too much in her rear end, not quite as level from her hooks to pins. Don't really like to see that in heifers, especially at this age, for going down the road as a cow, but taking nothing away from this second place heifer. Give a round of applause for these great looking Holstein heifers.
Receiving purple in Class 5 was Miles Esau of Beatrice, and receiving blue was Maxon Esau of Beatrice. Entering the ring now is Class 6 of Summer Yearling Holstein Heifers. This is our first call for all the Holstein heifer calves that received purple in the last classes to be running our champion Holstein heifer drive. After our champion and reserve Holstein heifers, we're going to be moving to Class 12.
Well, two very good summer yearling Holstein entries here. I guess you could say I use this as an example of really what the Holstein scorecard shows for dairy strength and dairy character that I'm going to use for these two examples of these heifers. And I'm going to start off with the lady in first place here with her summer yearling. Just the overall look, the overall cleanliness, just the overall, once again, the word dairy character comes to mind. Taking nothing away from this young man here in second, just showing a little bit more condition. Overall, soundness-wise, very nice heifers. Maybe down the road, the young lady's heifer is going to be more prominent in the show ring. This young man here just showing more of a brood cow look, maybe just a very high-producing cow ahead of her. Just two different spectrums, and it's a very good example of what the dairy show cattle industry is seeing now. We have two different examples in here, but two very good heifers, just two very different extremes or approaches of how I placed them today. So a very good class of summer yearling heifers.
Receiving purple in Class 6 was Sydney Engelman of Jansen. Receiving blue was Graham Shart of Beatrice. Entering the ring now is our champion Holstein heifer drive. From Class 3, we have Beckham Hemphill of Firth. From Class 4, we have Miles Esau of Beatrice. From Class 5, we also have Miles Esau of Beatrice. And from Class 6, we have Sydney Engelman of Jansen. This is first call for Class 12, spring milking shorthorn heifer calf. Again, that is first call for Class 12, spring milking shorthorn heifer calf.
Well, 4 very good individuals representing my top 4 for the Holstein breed here this morning. Don't take anything away from these other 2 that I have here on the side of the ring. Just maybe not showing enough of development out of the young heifer, and then just heifer right here in front of me, just not quite showing enough size and scale to compete against these other 2 here today. But these 2 that I pulled out here for my Grand and Reserve, I'm going to start off with the young lady on the far end of me. That's just a type of heifer that I would like to take home and just develop for these fall shows going down the road, just to get her ready for the future that it has ahead of it. You know, she just walks on a correct set of feet and legs. The way that she just portrays herself with the openness of rib, the spring and depth is the biggest combination. Taking nothing away from my Reserve heifer here, she's just not quite as clean through the head and neck. You know, I would like to maybe drop a little bit of condition off of her, but that could come down the road as we get ready for these fall shows. But taking nothing away from those 2 heifers, they can go back and forth any time of the week, especially going down the road this fall. It'll be interesting to watch them compete against each other. Very good quality for the Holstein Heifer Show. Give them all a round of applause.
Receiving champion Holstein heifer was Sydney Engelman, and receiving reserve champion Holstein heifer was Miles Esau. Entering the ring now is our Class 12 Spring Milking Shorthorn Heifer Calf. This is Bristol Sloop Lang of Beatrice. This is first call for our Class 13 Summer Yearling Ayrshire heifer.
Well, a really nice single entry here of an Ayrshire heifer for this young lady. Just showing a lot of potential for this heifer. I'm sure she'll be back at the Gage County Fair next year and maybe have a little bit more competition to show up against, but she's showing a lot of good potential with a set of feet and legs, you know, and that's just your typical Ayrshire. You know, that's the carbon copy of what you want an Ayrshire to look like. So a big congratulations to this young lady with her Ayrshire heifer.
Entering the ring now is going to be our Class 17 Fall Brown Swiss Heifer Calf. This is Trendon Lang of Beatrice. Following that will be our Grand All Other Breed Heifer Calf drive.
Well, a really nice single entry brown Swiss heifer here. You know, the brown Swiss breed is really unique. I don't see very many of them, but the few that I do, you know, the ones that you look at and say this is what you want a brown Swiss to look like, you know, this heifer truly portrays it. You know, they're just a little bit heavier built. You know, they're just more of a durable breed. That's just the way that these brown Swiss are, but a very nice example of what you want a brown Swiss heifer to look like to develop into one of these hardy brown Swiss cows. So congratulations on a purple ribbon to this young man's with his Swiss.
Receiving purple from Class 17 is Trendon Lang of Beatrice. Now we'll be having our champion all of the breed heifer calf drive.
Well, for my champion in reserve AOB, I'm going to start off with the Swiss heifer here. Just overall, comparing the two, each breed is obviously different, but the breed characteristics, like I said, that Swiss is what fits that breed characteristic. Taking nothing away from this Ayrshire heifer, she's going to go down the road and develop into a really nice example of what we want an Ayrshire heifer to look like. A very big congratulations to these two in the AOB competition.
Well, we got. Well, I'm. Okay, your champion was who? Yeah, was that our champion of all of the breeds? We just did. And it should have been. So the brown Swiss won. The short horn. This is 13. In the ring now is our Class 13 Summer Yearling Ayrshire Heifer Calf. It is Tough Lang of Beatrice. This is first call for Class 14 Spring Yearling Ayrshire Heifer Calf.
Well, I'm really getting to see it all here at Gage County today. I've never been to a county fair that can have, darn near all 5 breeds of dairy cattle shown, but this is a very, very good example of a shorthorn heifer here. Just overall openness and rib structure. On these shorthorns, they're a unique breed that is catching more popularity in the show world, and it's just really unique to me on how they each discretionate themselves. But overall openness of this heifer, it's just the tried and true correct way of what you would want a shorthorn heifer to look like. A very good shorthorn heifer for this young man. Give him a round of applause.
Receiving purple in Class 13 is Tough Lang of Beatrice.
I apologize. Dave pointed that out for me. Like I said, I get to see all different breeds here at Gage County. That was a nice Ayrshire, so we're going to be placing the Ayrshires here today.
Entering the ring now is our Class 14 Spring Yearling Ayrshire Heifer Calf. It's Tough Lang of Beatrice. This is our first call for our Class 15 Winter Yearling Ayrshire Heifer Calf.
Well, I gave this young man a hard time. They're really going to keep me on my toes here today, keeping all these breeds straight. You don't really see a mostly white Ayrshire in a while, but a very nice Ayrshire heifer for this young man here, and look forward to placing the top 3 of these Ayrshires for this show here this morning. Give him a round of applause.
Receiving purple in Class 14 was Tough Lang of Beatrice. Entering the ring now is our Class 15 Winter Yearling Ayrshire Heifer Calf. This is Piper Hemphill of Firth. After this, we'll have our Champion Ayrshire Heifer Calf drive. This is first call for our Class 18 Summer Yearling Guernsey Heifer Calf.
Well, a very nice Ayrshire heifer here. You know, just love to admire the overall openness and the size and scale of this heifer. You know, this heifer is going to go down the road and do some really good things for this young lady. You know, just the way that she walks on a correct set of feet and legs, she's straight across the top, and just has that overall cleanliness throughout the front end to represent a good representation of this Ayrshire breed. Go ahead and give her a round of applause.
It's pretty good time. In the ring now is our Champion Ayrshire Heifer Calf drive. From Class 13, we have Tough Lang of Beatrice. From Class 14, we also have Tough Lang from Beatrice. And from Class 15, we have Piper Hemphill of Firth. This is our second call for Class 18 Summer Yearling Guernsey Heifer Calf.
Well, for my Champion Ayrshire heifer, I'm going to go with the oldest aged heifer here in the Ayrshire breed today. Just overall, the exact example of what you want an Ayrshire to look like. You know, something that's showing a wide frame, just width overall throughout the front and the back, and also being able to combine all that with a clean neck structure. Taking nothing away from my reserve Ayrshire here with this young man's that he brought today. Just overall size and scale, I would really like to see what this heifer looks like in a year from now. It's really showing all the pieces to put everything together for a really competitive Ayrshire. So a very good Ayrshire show here today. Give all these young exhibitors a round of applause.
Receiving champion Ayrshire heifer calf was Piper Hemphill of Firth, and receiving reserve champion Ayrshire heifer calf was Tough Lang of Beatrice. Entering the ring now is Class 18 of our Summer Yearling Guernsey Heifer Calf. This is Piper Hemphill of Firth. This is our first call for our overall dairy heifer calf drive. First call for our overall dairy heifer calf drive.
Well, a very, very high quality single entry for the Guernsey heifer show here. Just overall, you know, I'm getting to see everything here at Gage County, but we get to see the top examples for a county fair of all these different breeds of dairy cattle. You know, I just admire the overall length and the overall openness of this Guernsey heifer here. You know, she just cleans off so nice throughout that front end, leading it straight across the top all the way through her rear feet and legs. Just a very, very impressive Guernsey heifer for this young lady. Give her a round of applause. Entering the ring now is our grand overall dairy heifer calf drive. For our Jersey heifer calves, we have Maxon Esau and Salone Esau. From our Holstein heifer calves, we have Sydney Engelman and Miles Esau. Our
Milking Shorthorn heifer calf is Bristol Sloop Lang. Our Ayrshire is our Piper Hemphill and Tough Lang. And our Brown Swiss heifer calf is Trendon Lang. And then Piper Hemphill with her summer yearling Guernsey heifer calf. I'd like to thank our dairy show sponsors, our Security First Bank, Harlan and Rochelle J. Rickers Memorial, Roger Hendricks, Amber Goosen Schroeder, Mike and Debbie Goosen, Rosine Machine Incorporated, the Gage County Farm Bureau, Brad Christian Insurance and Investments, Miller Sales Incorporated, Farmers National Company, and the Bernice Rural Memorial. Following our dairy heifer calf drive, we're going to take a short 5-minute intermission between our heifers and our cows.
Give all of these individuals a round of applause for an excellent heifer show. You know, I truly mean it when I said, you know, I wasn't expecting to come up to Gage County and get to place all 6 different breeds of dairy cattle here this morning, but you really gave me something to choose from. And when I mean that, I believe that shows what I pulled out for my top 4 for this Holstein, or excuse me, for this heifer class, or for the heifers here at the show. Taking nothing away from the individuals out on the outside of the ring here today, but just to choose a supreme Supreme and a Reserve for my heifer show. I felt that I should pick from these top 4. I wanted to pull these 4 out because they truly show the respective way that their breed is supposed to look and represent as a heifer. You know, with this Holstein heifer here, just the overall size and scale. You love the rib structure, the cleanliness through the front end of it. You know, for my first place Holstein, taking nothing away from my Reserve Holstein of the show, you know, just maybe not as clean as that first place Holstein. What an excellent looking Ayrshire though, you know, as for rounding out the all other breed show for the Ayrshire and this Jersey. I mean, those are the perfect examples of what we want to see at a county fair for these heifers. I'm going to go ahead and still stick to my roots. You know, I'm a true I'm a true Holstein guy, but like I said, I got to see a lot of different examples of some excellent heifers here today, but I'm still going to go ahead with my first place heifer for the overall Supreme heifer of the show. And then followed by for my Reserve, when this Guernsey hit the ring, you know, she was the last one in here, but my goodness, you know, just the overall dairy quality showing the breed of the Guernsey breed here, you know, that just truly caught my eye. The overall openness of the rib, the length, the overall build of this heifer, she's got a lot of potential ahead of her. And taking nothing away from, I just feel like I need to mention an honorable reserve in a 4th place. I know there isn't a plaque place for it, but I'm actually going to go ahead with the Holstein here as my reserve, and then 4th place overall with the Ayrshire. Once again, just a very good deep quality for a county fair, especially giving me all the different breeds of dairy cattle here. Like I said, it can all change from one person's opinion, but I don't get to look at many other things other than Holsteins and Jerseys, but when I see a good Guernsey and a good Ayrshire out here today, they deserve to be recognized. Give all these young people a round of applause and an excellent heifer show.
Receiving Grand Champion Dairy Heifer was Sydney Engelman with her Holstein. In Reserve Grand Champion Dairy Heifer was Piper Hemphill with her Guernsey. We're going to take a short 5-minute break between our heifers and our cows. Our first class for our cows is going to be our Class 7, our 2-year-old Holstein. Entering the ring now is Class 7, our 2-year-old Holstein. This is Sydney Engelman of Jansen.
Well, a very nice single entry to start off the Holstein Cow Show here today. This 2-year-old, showing a lot of future potential down the road. It's one of those things, these young cows, especially a 2-year-old Holstein, overall udder structure and overall just the way that mammary system is put together. She shows a lot of promise here with that tight rear udder attachment, blending in smoothly on her fore. Maybe I would like to change the teat placement just a little bit on the 2 rear quarters, but that will come down the road as she ages out and develops into a nice cow down the road. Very good 2-year-old cow to start the cow show. Give a round of applause.
Receiving purple from Class 7 is Sydney Engelman from Jansen. Entering the ring now should be our Class 8 3-year-old Holstein cow of Piper Hemphill of Firth. Following Class 8, we're just going to jump into Class 9 of our 4-year-old Holstein. So this is our first call for Class 9 4-year-old Holstein.
For this 3-year-old Holstein cow class, this is just another perfect example of how, when I was talking about earlier in the heifer show, how these young heifers develop into young cows into middle-aged cows, into an aged cow for production-wise. But this cow truly has the overall frame, stature, that beautiful uphill run. As a 3-year-old, she will freshen back in and get more of that udder capacity, but she truly has all the works there. Just really like to see the overall size and scale of this 3-year-old.
Receiving purple is Piper Hemphill of Firth. Coming up next in the ring should be our Class 9 4-year-old Holstein cow, shown by Sydney Engelman of Jansen. This is first call for Class 10 5-year-old and older Holstein.
Well, for a 4-year-old cow, this is a very nice cow holding up for her age, and especially the young lady told me she goes dry in 12 days, and I would believe that. She's going to sit down and have a really nice, good calf and calve in, to go down the road again as a 5-year-old and show in that aged cow class. But just an overall really nice looking cow for a 4-year-old. Give her a round of applause.
Receiving purple from Class 9 was Sydney Engelman of Jansen. Coming into the ring next is Class 10 or 5-year-old and older Holstein cow, shown by Talon Lang of Beatrice. This is first call for Class 11 Holstein dry cow.
Well, a very nice single entry 5-year-old Holstein cow here for today, just goes to show, when these heifers develop into these cows to give us that nice, beautiful uphill run, the overall dairy size and scale, openness of rib, and then I like truly the rear leg structure on this cow, especially for a 5-year-old. She's really holding up very nice. So this cow is a very nice 5-year-old for this young lady and has a lot of potential production ahead of her. Give her a round of applause.
Receiving purple was Talon Lang of Beatrice. Entering the ring now is our Class 11 Holstein dry cow. This is our first call for our overall champion Holstein cow.
Well, for a single entry dry cow class here, just a very nice overall production looking cow. She's going to calve in and just overall fill up that milk tank and really pull her weight in overall pounds that she's producing. She's just that overall frame of the cow and just showing that she's a production machine really for what it is. These dry cows you can't obviously judge off of udder potential, but judging from that rear udder, there's plenty of potential there. That I would say that she's coming into her 4th lactation. If I would say the young lady was unsure, but a very nice promising dry cow here for a single entry dry cow class.
Receiving purple from Class 11 is Talon Lang. Entering the ring now is our overall champion Holstein Cow Drive, senior champion Holstein Drive. From Class 7, we have Sydney Engelman. From Class 8, we have Piper Hemphill. From Class 9, we have Sydney Engelman of Jansen. From Class 10, we have Taylin Lang of Beatrice. And from Class 11, we have Taylin Lang from Beatrice.
Well, for choosing a champion and a reserve for a Holstein Cow Show, we have a very nice set of all age groups here representing the Holstein division, all the way from 2 through 5 and all the way up to even a dry cow. So I really like to use that terminology and example-wise of why I feel that I'm going to go with my 3-year-old cow as my champion Holstein cow today. Just the overall, like I talked about in the heifer show, a cow that's going to come out with a nice uphill run, overall big frame, and being as a 3-year-old, she's just showing that she has so much more potential there. She's got the frame, she's got the rib structure, she's going to calve in and just put an excellent set of mammary system, another set of mammary system on there that I really like, but I would like to give just more depth to that rear udder. Taking nothing away from my second place or my reserve Holstein cow, maybe she has more of a correct rear udder. I just don't really like the unevenness of that udder floor. Taking nothing away from her as a 2-year-old, but she just shows that overall frame as she develops and goes down the road. She is going to be able to compete more with the aged cows in an overall standpoint for representing the Holstein breed. Give all of these exhibitors a round of applause for these excellent set of Holstein cows.
Your Holstein Senior Grand Champion cow was Piper Hemphill, and your reserve champion was Sydney Engelman. Those two will be returning to the ring for your Senior Grand Champion overall cow. Entering the ring now is Class 16, or 3-year-old Irishshire, shown by Talon Lang of Beatrice.
For a single entry Ayrshire cow class, you know, this 4-year-old here is a very good example of a true production Ayrshire. You know, you just love that overall size and quality of the mammary system. You know, she just puts it all together with a very nice uphill run in her frame. Just a very, very modest production type cow that you really love to see go back to the farm and just put the pounds into the tank. A very nice Ayrshire for this young lady.
Receiving Senior Grand Champion Ayrshire cow was Talon Lang of Beatrice. Entering the ring now is your overall Senior Grand Champion dairy cow, Drive. From your Holsteins, we have Piper Hemphill and Sydney Engelman. And from your Ayrshire, we have Talon Lang.
Give these three individuals a round of applause for overall cow. You know, we got the two Holsteins out here and then the one Ayrshire, so I can't really go by too much of, I'm going to say, use the term breed characteristics when I'm comparing these two for an overall Supreme and Reserve cow. But what it comes down to is, you know, the overall unified scorecard for the dairy, you know, is 40% or 40 points is the mammary system. So that's the way that I'm going to determine how I choose my Grand and Supreme, or excuse me, my Reserve and Champion cow. And I'm going to still go ahead with my 3-year-old, you know, just showing ahead and showing the more rear udder promise, I guess you could say, as she keeps going into her lactation, just the overall udder structure. And then I'm going to go with the Ayrshire here for Reserve. You know, just overall showing the capacity of the mammary system, the correct teat placement. I just like the level udder floor, you know, just more of an adaptable milker compared to my 2-year-old Holstein here. Taking nothing away from her, she's going to calve in and that's going to come out, you know, and it's going to level out and she's going to be just fine in the next lactation. But overall today I'm going to go with my 3-year-old for Supreme, Ayrshire for Reserve. Very nice quality for the cow show here today. Give them all a round of applause.
Receiving Senior Grand Champion Dairy Cow is Piper Hemphill from Firth, and receiving Reserve Senior Grand Champion Dairy Cow is Talon Lang of Beatrice. Those awards were sponsored by the Gage County Farm Bureau as well as the Gage County 4-H Council. In the ring now is our overall Supreme Champion Dairy Female Drive. We have our Grand Champion Dairy Heifer is Sydney Engelman of her Holstein. Our Reserve Grand Champion Dairy Heifer is Piper Hemphill of Guernsey. Our Grand Champion Dairy Cow is Piper Hemphill. And our Reserve Grand Champion Dairy Cow is Talon Lang.
So this is a unique, I guess you could say, I've never had to place an overall female, you know, to choose between my champion Holstein, my champion Guernsey, my champion first and second place cow. So I'm going to put a little bit of a twist on it, I guess, and since I'm judging these 4 in this ring, I'm going to use the parameter to where I'm going to choose for my overall Supreme and Reserve Holstein female of what I would say I would like to take back home, get in the barn, and develop for these fall shows going down the road. You know, I think that overall with these 4 individuals in here, I'm going to go with my Holstein heifer as the overall Supreme heifer, just because of the overall dairy quality, you know, the openness, the depth of rib, just the way that she walks on a correct set of feet and legs. You know, she has a lot of potential going ahead for her going down the road to these fall shows coming up. Taking nothing away from the cows in the ring, but when I saw this Guernsey heifer walk in here today, this is what you want a Guernsey heifer to look like. I hope this young lady is going to be able to take it down to State Fair and even beyond that, because it has so much potential. She's going to be your reserve Supreme Holstein female here today. So give all of these exhibitors a round of applause, but out of all these individuals here in the ring, this is what I feel most opinionated about on choosing my Supreme overall Holstein, or excuse me, overall dairy female here today. Very, very impressed with the overall quality that I did not expect coming up to Gage County and being able to place 5 different breeds of dairy cattle here today. But this was very impressive. You all have something to really be proud of. Go ahead and give everybody a round of applause.
Receiving Supreme Champion Dairy Female was Sydney Engelman of Jansen, and receiving a Reserve Supreme Champion Dairy Female was Piper Hemphill of Firth. In the ring now is our Class 19, our dairy herd class. We have Taylin Lang of Beatrice, as well as Sydney Engelman of Jansen. Receiving purples in our dairy herd class